friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather. Today we're gonna read some of my most anticipated books for 2021. I'm so excited to get into these books. So excited. So 2021, there's probably been several books I've read this year that I've released this year that I've really enjoyed. But there's a couple books that I was really excited for this fall that I was like, these are coming out, I can't wait to read them, and I'm so excited to take you along on this journey with me to read these two books. So before we jump into what books we're going to be reading and how it's going, let's go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Check out my Instagram and Goodreads so we can talk bookish all over the place. And yeah, I would love that. It'd be great. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the two books that I am dying to read. I'm so excited for, and I finally got my hands on. So the first book we're going to talk about here is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. I read The House in the Cerulean Sea last year. Pretty sure it was last year. It might have been the very beginning of this year. But I adored it so much. It was amazing. I loved it. It was heartwarming. It was sweet. It was so cute. Oh my gosh. Love that book. So was super excited when we were going to have, in kind of a similar vein, another book coming out by T.J. Klune. Here it is, Under the Whispering Door. This one kind of has that middle grade for adults type feel to it, and I can't wait to get into it. So in this one, we're following Wallace Price, and the Reaper shows up at his door, and he's like, dang, maybe I am actually dead. So the Reaper ends up taking him to the outskirts of this small village and takes him to Hugo's tea shop. And he's all, what is going on here? So Hugo is not only the owner of this local tea shop, but he also is a ferryman to Souls. But Wallace isn't quite ready to let go of his life. And so he's given a week to do the things that he needs to do to be ready to ferry on with his life. And so in 7 days, he's trying to live it up and do all the things that he didn't get to do that he really wants to. I think this is going to be just a really sweet and heartwarming story. I'm hoping it's not also a little bit heartbreaking. I honestly haven't heard too many people talking about this yet and how they feel about it and what they're thinking. So I don't think I've been really spoiled. And it should just be me reacting without having any other thoughts going on, which is exciting. And the other book that I'm super excited about is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This one, I loved the Caraval series. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites for sure. So I was really excited to see Stephanie Garber coming out with another book. And this one is set in the same world as the Caraval series, but we are following some different characters. So Evangeline believes that she has found her true love, but he's getting married to somebody else. So she goes out and she finds the Prince of Hearts and said, I need you to stop this wedding. That's my true love, and I want to marry him instead. And so the Prince of Hearts does stop the wedding, but he also says, I demand 3 kisses from you. So whenever I show up and say, you're going to kiss that person, you got to go kiss them. And I get to do that 3 times because he feels that she has only kissed one person in her entire life, and that's not enough. She soon realizes that he wants a little bit more from her than just these kisses. As most fates do, they have a little bit more ulterior motives behind things. So I actually did start reading this. I've been dying to get back into it, but I was like, I really need to film this intro before I can start. So I started reading something else because I definitely have had time to read more, but I was like, don't get too far ahead. You gotta update. So I actually finished part 1. And I'm about to start part 2, which is only about 80 pages in, I think. Yeah, so I'm about page 80 right now. Here's little part 2. I really enjoy the way this book's been set up so far. I've been in a little bit of a reading slump, and so I was having a hard time picking anything up, even this. Like, I've been so excited to read this book, and I still was like, I'm so excited, I want to pick it up, but I just don't want to pick it up. So I started like just flipping through it, and I was like, okay, I'm a little more intrigued. So the beginning has this beautiful picture. If you can see it, it says, welcome to the magnificent North. Stories be here. And it's kind of like a little map. So it has like Fortuna Castle, Wolf Hall, the spires, the mermaid and the pearls, the cemetery, some different little landmarks up in the north. So as I've been kind of reading in the book here, basically we're following Evangeline, as I said, and similar setup to what I was kind of saying. Basically, she ends up actually getting invited to this ball in the north, so she is headed up that way with her stepsister to enjoy the ball, and I'm assuming that these kisses are going to come into play and some other shenanigans and fun. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. We did see Scarlett and Tella for like a chapter, so they are in the story, but they're not like in the story. Like you just see a quick glimpse of them, and this is a few weeks after like all of the crazy mayhem that happened at the end of the Caraval series. So it's not too far in the future, but that's kind of where we're set. I think that if you haven't read the Caraval series, you could definitely pick this up, but you kind of would be spoiled for a couple of things. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, you would probably want to pick up the Caraval series first. If it's not a big deal, it's like just a couple things where you would kind of be spoiled a little bit, but nothing like major. So you definitely could like start here. So the other thing that I really enjoy is it is kind of broken up into parts. So the first part is the tale of Evangeline Fox, and there's also, I love when there's little mixed media things. So there is the Whisperer Gazette, and so you get little articles from the Whisperer Gazette sometimes, and I think there was like a little note in here as well that was kind of written out like it was an actual note, which I always enjoy just having those little elements. So seeing that kind of stuff, like a little note here, I just was like, yeah, okay, I'm feeling this. Like, why have I not started this? And then I started it, and I was like, yes, definitely reading this. Like, I was just like, this is going to get me out of my slump. So very, very, very excited to continue this story. I'm totally getting entranced in the magicalness of this land and these characters. We've had the Prince of Hearts before. We know how tricky he is. I'm adoring it. I'm in love. I'm in love, guys. So far, I mean, I'm only 80 pages in, but I just really like Stephanie Garber's writing, and I think it's just like she writes in this magical fairy tale type way that just sucks me in, and I just really just love it. So that's where we're at with that. I'm hoping that I continue to love this, and it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be a duology, which right now in my life is probably all I need for series is duologies, because I gotta actually finish some stuff. But obviously this one just came out, so we've got like a year or so until we get the next one. So those are the two books that we're going to be reading for this vlog, and we're going to see how it goes. All right, guys. So I have some updates on Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I actually finished this like a week ago now, and at first I was like, I need to like sit on this for a little bit before I talk to you guys, because I was like, I don't know what I even want to say about this book. And then I sat on it for a couple days, and then I didn't want to talk about it because I got a cold and I wasn't really feeling great, and I also just wasn't feeling like I wanted to talk about this book because I was so disappointed in it. Oh my gosh. It took me a little bit afterwards to really like sit on it and be like, how did I really feel about this book? Because I felt like I was mixing up my feelings with the Caraval series with this, because I adored that series, and there's such a magical feel and atmosphere to that series that I loved, and this just didn't have that, and I was just like, I think I was wanting it to so bad that I was convincing myself like, no, it has that, it has this, it has that, oh my gosh, this is great, this is wonderful. But then like thinking back on it, it was like, do I like this because I loved Caraval so much that I just want to like this so much? Or do I actually like it? You know, it just, I don't know. I was trying to convince myself pretty much through the whole thing that I was really enjoying it. And I think there's so many elements to it that I did enjoy in a certain way, but it just didn't come together into this story that really made me feel invested and happy and excited to be reading it. And I don't know, I just was bummed. I did actually tap a few things. I wish that there was a little bit more exploration of some of the
town that we go to. So you go up to the north. I can't remember if I showed you guys this picture, but it's beautiful. So she ends up going up to the north to this ball and the magnificent north. But there's like all these wonderful things, and I feel like it could have been explored so much more going to these different areas. The Mermaid and the Pearls is where she is staying. It's like an inn, and it is an inn for adventurous travelers, and it's supposed to be built from the wreckage of a sunken ship, which, I mean, that sounds so cool, but we really don't get more than that. There's like a cemetery, and then there's different halls, Wolf Hall, and like all this stuff, and I'm just like, but I don't feel like I knew what any of it really felt like or looked like, or really that we explored very much of it. So I just felt like it was a little bit lacking in some of that. And I just never really like fully connected to Evangeline. I feel like she was just a really typical hero type character that just like was do all good. I'm always going to do the right thing, whether it's consequences for myself, but like that's not how people really like feel or think. So I don't know. And then I just didn't believe any of the love connections at all between her and any of the characters that she was supposed to kind of feel for. I almost kind of towards the end felt something because of a certain event, but then like it just didn't go anywhere, and I was like, okay. Let me see what else I have. Yeah, I marked a few of the spots where like she had to do her kisses that she owed Jax, because he would like come along and be like, okay, well, this is who you need to go kiss, and this is when it needs to happen. So I did mark some of that in here. What is this? So overall, I was really disappointed because I was so excited for this book, and it just really fell flat. And then the ending, it did that thing where we're just like, we have all of this buildup in this, that, and the other going on, and we're not going to wrap any of that up. We're just going to leave it all hanging wide open, so you have to read the next book to even find out what's going to go on. And I just hate that. I really enjoy it. Like, you can give me a cliffhanger. 100%, I get it, and I enjoy it a lot of the times, because I'm just like, what? And then I want to get into the next story, and I'm like, cool. But I also like, at least, like, some kind of story arc in the actual book. So each book in the series kind of, I like them to each have their own story arc as well. And then there's other things that build and go into the rest of the stories. And this one just like built everything up, didn't give us any answers, and then just dropped it and was just like, okay, go to the next book. So, and I was just like, really? We're really doing that? Okay, sure we are. All right. Yeah. As you can tell, very, very, very bummed about this book. So these are a couple of my most anticipated reads, and this one just, unfortunately, did not make it. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm still probably going to pick up the second book, because I'm really hoping that it's going to, like, knock it out of the park and pick up steam and make this one worth it. Maybe the build-up was worth it. And luckily, you know, Stephanie Garber's writing is very easy and enjoyable to get into, so I am down for that. And I do like the mixed media elements. I know I was talking to you guys about that, where it had like some articles from the newspaper in there and just fun stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff. There was no feeling or connection for me. I didn't feel connected to any of the characters. I didn't feel the world, the magic, the atmosphere of it. There's nothing that connected me to the story, unfortunately. So I'm really hoping that Under the Whispering Door is going to be amazing, because House in the Cerulean Sea is one of my favorite books, and I adored it, and I just need this next one to be amazing as well, especially with this one not going as well, and I don't want this to be just a big downer blog. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll be back when I get it started here soon. Okay guys, so I've started into Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, and I don't know if I have a ton of thoughts so far, but I definitely wanted to update you guys because I am like a third of the way into the book already. So I just felt like if I kept going that I would end up too far and maybe spoiler type stuff. So I figured I would just give my initial thoughts. So let's talk a little bit about this. So we're basically following our main character, he dies, and this girl, May, shows up and takes him to Hugo, who runs this tea shop, and Hugo is a reaper, and he's supposed to help ferry the dead along in their journey and help them kind of get ready for that. But our MC is not ready for that at all, and he's like, no, I'm not dead, I need to get back to work. So our main character is really like, he's work driven. So, you know, he has no other family life or friends he never cared to. He just wanted to do his job and do it well. And he's a lawyer, and he's not very friendly to his staff. They all think he's really mean. He like fires this lady over like one super small mistake, and she has like a family she's trying to support, and her daughter's supposed to be getting like a college not grant, but money for college. And basically he's like, oh, well, now you're fired. You don't get that either. And she's just like, you're the worst person in the world. Like, that's the kind of person that he is. And then he passes away. So I don't know that I like super connect with that kind of a character, but for whatever reason, it's giving me like, I think it's probably just the season because, you know, it's Christmas time, but I'm getting like Ebenezer Scrooge type vibes from him. And I'm just thinking about that story of A Christmas Carol. Although we're not really like going and visiting anybody else in his family or anything, he kind of has to stay within the grounds of the tea shop until he's ready to move on. And Hugo and May are kind of there to help him through the process of accepting his death and being ready to move on to the next steps in his life, whatever that may be. They kind of haven't really explored that in this world at the moment. So I definitely enjoy, like, I feel like Hugo is kind of the soulful person who's very patient. He's just trying to help people along. He's really into his tea and growing it, and he says it takes a long time to kind of develop these tea plants. Some of them won't produce anything for like years, and you have to be very patient with them. And I am enjoying his character. And then May is kind of, we're starting to actually learn a little bit more about her. Her mom was an immigrant from China, and so she's got a little bit of a background with that and some of the cultural things that come with coming from another country and how America is viewed and how that affected her in her childhood. And I really enjoyed kind of getting a little bit more into her story. We also have the tea shop and customers that come in, and there's like no Wi-Fi there, so everybody's just like taking a break, which I love the idea of that. Like, we had a place near here where there's just like no Wi-Fi and you can go and just like be like, that sounds wonderful. Definitely need to do that more. I've been thinking that lately. I probably need to just take some time away from like my phone and the screen time and the social media stuff, because I'm around it and on it a lot. But side tangent. I'm enjoying getting to know our characters, but I mean, there's just not a lot of plot yet. We've just kind of been finding out about them and what the journey is for our main character, and that's about what I got at the moment. I will say, I feel like similar to House in the Cerulean Sea, it's kind of a slower build up in the beginning of the book, and you're just trying to get to know the characters and that kind of thing, and some of the connections I feel like come as the book keeps going. So I'm really excited to see where the rest of this is headed, because I am starting to get to know the characters more, and that always makes for a better book, and I'm just really curious to see where this is going to go. And I'm really hoping it goes better than our other book that we're not going to talk about, because yeah, we don't want two disappointing reads in this. And I honestly haven't seen a ton of reviews of either of these books I'm reading. I don't know that I've seen any for this one yet. So that's kind of nice. I can just develop my own thoughts and opinions without outside influence. So last night I went on a lengthier-ish walk, like 45 minutes, but I'm on double speed on the audiobook for Under a Whispering Door, so I got through a chunk, and then I had listened earlier in the day as well. So I'm moving through this book a little bit. I think I'm like 65-70% into the audiobook at the moment, and I'm enjoying it. It's fun, and I like the concept of the story is very different and unique, and I'm enjoying the tea shop and getting to know some of our characters and stuff. It's just,
I want it to be a little sweeter than it is, I guess, because House in the Cerulean Sea was really sweet. And I feel like I'm having a hard time not comparing it to that, just like I did with Stephanie Garber's work. But I'm still enjoying this one compared to our other one. I was not enjoying it as much at this point. So overall, I'm still like feeling it. I don't know that I have a ton to say about it, which is kind of hard for a vlog. Like, I'm like, what more do I really want to say? I don't know. I will say there's an element of the synopsis that like I thought was going to play into this a little bit more than it has so far. It just got introduced into the story and I was like, oh, I've been kind of thinking like, where was this actually going to happen? And now it's just now happening. And it's kind of thrown a wrench into what all of our characters have been thinking and feeling. So that's been a little bit hard, and there's been like some tough feelings going on with some new people coming into the story and some of their stories that we're learning a little bit more about. That's gotten a little bit deeper and a little more in depth. So I do see that the story's like giving us a little bit more, which I'm appreciating. It's not, it's definitely not a flat story. I also will say that I have been laughing quite a bit listening to the story. I have caught myself like listening to it in the car and I'm laughing along with it. I really enjoy Hugo's granddad. He cracks me the heck up. He like makes fun of Wallace all the time, our main character, and just like makes him do the most ridiculous things. This actually happened pretty early on in the book, so I don't feel like it's a super spoilery moment, but when Wallace like first gets there, he really wants to be back alive. He's like, oh, you guys can make it happen. You've got to be able to do it. So the granddad's all like, oh yeah, just put your hands in the air and you gotta like jump around, you gotta really feel it and just be like, I wanna be alive. And he's like making him do all these crazy things, and he just starts busting up laughing because he's just like totally messing with the dude. So I'm enjoying some of that for sure. It's definitely keeping a smile on my face. In a lot of those ways, there's some darker, harder moments for sure and things that we're talking about, but there's still some humor and I'm liking that too. So overall, it's going well. I am curious as to how we're going to wrap this up and what I'm going to really feel like towards the end of this book and how we're going to kind of bring this all together, because I'm not 100% sure where we're going at this point. So we shall see. Hello, friends. So I finished Under a Whispering Door by TJ Klune. And it was really cute and sweet. I definitely feel like the end was it was so mushy and so heartwarming and unexpected. I was kind of like partway through, like, I'm pretty sure I know where this is gonna go. And I was like almost 100% sure of the direction that it was gonna go. And it did not. So I was like, oh, okay. So, but I really enjoyed it. I think that TJ Klune has a really beautiful style of writing that just weaves a really pretty story, and it's just kind of slowly given to you and builds up, and I really enjoy it quite a bit. I don't think I enjoyed this one quite as much as The House in the Cerulean Sea, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is a beautiful story, and I can't wait to read more from this author. I definitely I'm glad that I enjoyed this one compared to the other one, unfortunately, but I will give you guys some more thoughts when I've sat on it a little bit, and I'm wrapping everything up, because I feel like it's one of those stories, I mean, I just finished it an hour or so ago, so I just feel like I need to marinate it in it a little bit and like really think about it, because I feel like there was a lot to the story and I want to give you guys a little bit better thoughts. So we're going to talk in just a second for you and probably in a day or two for me. So, okay, let's wrap this vlog up so that you guys can watch it, because that is what we're trying to do here. We read 2 books in this vlog. The first one was, well, they both were very anticipated reads for me because I've really enjoyed other books by these authors, and these are their new books that came out, and I was like, yes, we're gonna totally love these, right? So we started with Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, because I loved the Caraval series, and this book is set within that world, but we're following different characters. It's supposed to kind of be its own series, just set within the same world. I did not end up enjoying this one very much, and I was really bummed. I was actually just editing some of this material, and I do agree with that first part. I was like, yes, I remember really enjoying this part and being invested in the story, and I was liking that. And then it seemed like from that part two, when we went into the north, that's where I feel like it kind of went downhill a little bit for me. So I don't know if it was maybe just I really needed more exploration and world building and to find out more about the North and get more into that and maybe a few more of the characters that were happening there. I would have loved to have created more of a relationship maybe between the stepsister and our main character. I just, yeah, it kind of just fizzled out from there. I didn't feel like any elements really like pulled me into the story. The characters I wasn't very connected to. I didn't feel the atmosphere of it. It wasn't super like actiony, fun, or a lot of things that were happening that kept me kind of on the edge of my seat or really entertained or made me laugh. Like there just wasn't a lot keeping me really invested in the story and making me feel connected to anything. So I was really kind of disappointed in that. And then the end, I just felt like left so much stuff just open and didn't really like close anything up and give us a good like closed arc within the book, as well as some other stuff that we're going to follow up with throughout the series. So overall, I was pretty disappointed in this book, and I think I ended up with like a 2.5 star rating for this one. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, dang it. Dang it. So then we moved into Under the Whispering Door, which I was so excited for this year because last year, as a lot of people did, I super enjoyed House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and it was lovely and wonderful. So yeah, went into this one, and I overall did enjoy this story. Thinking back, I was like, I really feel like I need to kind of look at the story, digest it a little bit, and then I was going to get back to you guys. And I've done that. I still don't feel super strongly towards the story, but I really enjoyed the side characters. And I think this is where like I didn't feel as connected to the story, is that I don't think I enjoyed our main character as much. Wallace is just, he's just not a good guy in his life. And in his death, he's kind of like trying to realize his humanity and come back to that. And I can appreciate that the character's trying to grow and that maybe there's, a little bit more after death than we know about. And maybe people can still change at that point and there can be more growth there. But like, I just still didn't really connect with him, but I loved May and I loved Hugo and his granddad and the dog and just like a lot of the side characters I adored. And throughout the book, I was enjoying reading it. I was laughing and overall the story was well done. I do feel like it was a little bit slower paced at times. Which, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the story and nothing that should take away from the story at all. I do wish that some of the moments that could have packed a punch a little bit more would have packed a punch a little bit more for me. For whatever reason, they didn't quite hit as much as his other book and some other books, obviously, that I've read that are kind of in this contemporary vein, but still very well written and a beautiful story talking about grief and after we're dead, what happens to us and how we live on and how that affects other people in our lives and that kind of thing. So I think it was a really pretty well done story, and I did overall enjoy my experience reading it, and I enjoyed the humor and had a good time with it. I think my main problem was just the main character I didn't super connect with, and I wasn't necessarily supposed to. He was an unlikable character in the beginning, and who went through a lot of growth, and I think that was great. It didn't hit me the same way that his other work did, and it wasn't a 5-star for me, which is fine. I put it through Copile, and Copile doesn't give half stars. It gave it a 3-star when I was kind of thinking through everything, but I think it's probably more like a 3.5 star. So, I really wish that like Goodreads did the half-star thing, and that's kind of a reason why I've thought about kind of moving into one of these other platforms that's opening up that's like Goodreads, because the half-star it really makes a difference. Like, I have so many books that are in a 3-star, but like some of them are not as good as 3 stars, but some of them are, and they're almost at 4-star, but I can't categorize them quite as a 4-star. And there's like reads that I'm like, you aren't quite a 5-star read, but you're still so good and you're a lot better than some of these other 4 stars that I have lumped in there. I don't know. I just think, anyways, that is a total tangent. Anyways, I would say we're hitting at like a 3.5 for that one. So I really enjoyed it overall. It just didn't hit the impact that I was really hoping for in the story, and just wasn't my favorite that I've ever read. But I am not sad that I read that one, and I did enjoy reading it overall throughout. So that's my thoughts on 2 of my most anticipated books for the year, which kind of sucks because I really thought both of these were going to be 5-star reads for me. I may have even put them in my 5-star predictions. I probably did, and neither of them were. But you know, what can you do? You read what you think you're going to enjoy, and you see how it goes, right? So that's how that wrapped up. But I will see you guys soon in another video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day.